directors of the Saola Foundation. And we are recording the meeting starting now. So if you could just hit your little got it and accept button, that'll be great. So again, I want to welcome you. I'm very excited. This is the first of our two talks this winter. The second one, if you will mark your calendars, will be March 23rd. And what we're highlighting in the talks are Lao women involved in cutting-edge wildlife conservation. And we have our own Vatsana Chanthavong today. And on March 23rd at the same time, we'll hear from Dr. Aktusan Raspon talking about her work on clouded leopards in Laos. So that should be a fantastic talk. And if you have any questions during Vatsana's talk, just please type them into the chat, or at the end, you can just ask questions verbally. But we'll just let Vatsana get through her presentation and hold questions for the end. As you may have seen recently, one of our major supporters, the managing director of a major initiative, the Critical Ecosystem Partnership Fund, expressed the view that here at the Saola Foundation, we've assembled the best team ever for a wildlife conservation initiative in Southeast Asia. And we're going to hear from a key member of that team. And I'm going to pass it over now to our CEO, Lorraine Scottson, to do the introductions. And I'll just note, Lorraine, Vatsana, and our speaker next week all have something in common. They're all young mothers doing fantastic wildlife conservation in Southeast Asia. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Lorraine.
Hi, everybody. And I think she somehow sensed that. So here's my little prodigy, just to say a quick hello. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. There's loads of new faces here today, so that's really wonderful. Welcome to the Saola Foundation family. Corey is going to put a link in the chat for our newsletter sign up. So please do sign up and follow our progress. Now, Vatsana is she's going to introduce herself pretty well. So she'll tell you a bit about herself when she begins her presentation. So what I'll do is just tell you a bit about my experiences first meeting Vatsana before she gets started. I mean, she really is, when we put out a call for people to apply for the Laos first ever scent detection dog team, we were amazed at the response we got, but we could never have imagined we would get such an outstanding candidate come forward as Vatsana. She really is a force of nature. She's fearless and she is a natural leader. She can't help herself. She's just wonderful. So we're extremely lucky to have her. And with that, Vatsana is going to talk for around about 30 minutes. And yes, please do put your questions in the chat as we go along. What I would recommend for viewing, if everybody could turn their videos off during the call, that would be great. Back on again at the end when we're doing Q&A. And for optimal viewing, once Vatsana shares her screen, I would suggest side-by-side speaker view. Okay. And please enjoy. Vatsana, if you'd like to share your screen, over to you. Okay.
Lauren, please let me share my screen.
You should be okay now.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my screen. Yeah, thank you, Bill. Thank you, Dr. Lauren. Sabadi, everyone. My name is Vatsana Chanthavong. I am a scent detection dog team leader. I'm working full-time with Saola Foundation. Today, I'm talking about my journey a little bit, who I am, what I want to be, where I came from, how I become a scent detection dog team, leader of Saola Foundation. I am also going to introduce you about my sin detection dog team members, including 4 handlers and 2 dogs. You can see the picture in this slide. I will talk later about them. Moreover, I am updating you the progress of our training session and experience gained so far during last year, 2023. First of all, I would like to talk about myself a little bit. Randomly, I was a girl who dreamed to have a horse and ride a horse. I just want to have the horse, but unfortunately, I don't have enough money to buy the horse. This made me want to save the horse. I don't want to see the horse die. So my ambition is being a person who care the animal. Finally, my ambition come true. I am holding a master degree in animal science and response on animal welfare. This is me. I have worked with Saola Foundation since 2022, but before I worked with Saola Foundation, I used to be a veterinarian assistant officer at ElefantAsia project from 2008 to 2011. At that time, I spent a lot of time in Sayabuli province, the northern of Laos, where the project implemented and where in the past has been called land of Vientiane elephants. In Sayabuli, there is a traditional ceremony which called the Elephant Festival, and it's organized from 17 to 19 February every year. It was very much enjoy my journey at that time. And this is the first involved with working the animal. After I finished my study, I was responsible on providing the elephant healthcare and breeding program. From this experience, as well as experience of taking care of more than 500 domestic elephants, I realized how much I care the animal. I also started think about the importance of conservation of wildlife. This is me. This picture, I'm cleaning the big wound infection of the elephant. Everything went very well. I have a dream job. I have a great family. I have 2 boys who always support me. After I have green kids, same as every woman in Laos, we would like to have a stable job, like would like to apply to become a permanent staff government. Of course, I feel that it should be. The turning point was back in 2011. I became a permanent staff government, but I didn't expect that. My work in the government was mainly focused on documentation, paperwork, sitting at the office all the time, and meeting. It didn't fulfill my passion and ambition. So I think a lot about animal healthcare. It's made me miss working with elephant and animals so much. Sorry. The biggest decision for me is back in May 2022. It was the period that I found the advertisement of Saola Foundation. Look for the position of sin detection dog team leader. I applied for this position and finally I have chosen. So about this, I will talk later why I have been selected. I decided to quit my job with the government and take a role for dog health care and Conservation of Annamite with Saola Foundation. Honestly, when I saw the post, I don't know what is Saola. It's a real wildlife conservation, and what is Saola Foundation? And I looked up online to figure out who is Saola Foundation and learn about Saola. When I saw the first picture of Saola, I was amazed of what is this animal. It's not a real monster. It's not a real sorrel. How can I find Saola? Because Saola now is so rare. What can I do to see the real Saola? This is how I get involved in this position. So now I talk about myself. How did I become the scent detection dog team leader? Yeah, sure. I had to go through a very challenging recruitment process because Saola Foundation is very committed in finding the best team to detect Saola. It's not just a simple interview because I had got through 3 interview stages, not interviewed by one person, but with many interviewer panels such as Lao Program Director, CEO, Technical Director, Field Coordinator, Detection Dog Specialist from Working Dog for Conservation, and Sharon K9 LLC. After I passed the interview, I had to face the next recruitment tails in the forest. One of my tasks was to take Rob, our technical director, to the highest mountain without GPS and topo map. Could you imagine how to bring someone to the top of the mountain in the deep forest without any guidance? It was my first time in the deep forest. That's what not all. I also had to face more challenge. For instance, how I can work in the forest without no electricity, neither signal. And not only me will be recruited, because my 4 handlers also have an intense recruitment trail too. They have been tested by Amy Hurst and Paul Bunker. Finally, very critical. 4 of them have been chosen because they have a very good motivation. They are team player and they're able to learn new things. And the most important thing, they must be good in handling the dogs. This slide, I talk about Saola Foundation scent detection dog team had been chosen. But a little bit, I would like to talk about Norman and Bertie, their story. They are from England. They both Cocker Spaniel, and they were selected from 6 potential dogs. So now I would like to talk a bit about Bertie, Norman individual personality. I start from Norman at your left side. Norman is very shy dog of strength. Out of that, he is not bored with people. He loves to play with people and he likes the ball. He is really high drive of searching and hunt, go through the thick under the ground to find the scab and snare. And on your right side is Bertie. Bertie is very friendly. He is not shy of stranger. He can play with everyone. Yeah, this picture is more clear about their face. Yeah. After selection, Norman and Bertie has been in US to train about dog comments and scent of smell by Paul Bunker, Sharon K9 LLC, funded by Working Dog Conservation. Finally, Norman and Bertie arrived in Laos in August 2023 by Paul. They have been trained to small unfillet dung and wild snake to prevent themselves from getting catch in the forest. Why? I strongly believe my scent detection dog team can find the first Saola because I have a lot of training and supervision to make sure detection dog team can perform the best. So in the beginning of March 2023, the Saola Foundation sent me to USA for a month for dog training. I was very exciting because it was my first time to learn how to work with the detection dog, how the dog react to me, and how make the dog listen to my comments and learn how to be a leader on good welfare for the dog. I have trained by Paul, and I have a good opportunity to join the short workshop at Working Dog for Conservation. Then after I come back to Laos, I have trained to the handlers to distribute all my knowledge I got from my training in US. Yeah, this is also the picture that I got a training in US. This slide I gonna show you about short video of my training in US. Let's start. So this slide is showing you that how I give the comment to the dog to find the scat that behind somewhere in this area. Yeah, so now I give the comment and the dog find the scat, and finally we find it. Yeah, it was very exciting and very good opportunity to me at that time. Hey, this is our two dog arrival in Laos. And one thing make me happy and learn everything in US because Paul, he is always support, even I don't understand some word or something, he always support and explain clearly. Finally, Bertie and Norman come to Laos in August 2022 by Paul. They have been trained to smell unfillet dung and wild snake, as I said before, to prevent themselves from catch in the deep forest. One thing make me confident is always have the technical support from Amy, Paul, Renee, Rob. Training is not all. We always have the chance to practice in a very efficient way. We always have Amy, Renee, Paul, and Rob present there when we perform our work and have them observe and support us to make us do a better job. Or if there any issue, they always there to help us. For example, when we work in the forest with the dogs, normally the dogs are trained to signal us when they found the dung. However, sometimes Norman, one of our dogs, he didn't sit, so which caused confusion of us in the field. But we had a good support from the four of them technical to explain why, and we find a solution. As I mentioned above, that my team has 2 detection dogs and 4 handlers. And each dog, they have 2 handlers. These are 2 handlers of Norman. who respond for taking care of his health and well-being 24 hours every day. That is their responsibility. So I would like to talk about the characteristic of each handler. So at your left side is Luang Sutha. Luang Sutha is very experienced in the forest. He is very strict and serious with his responsibility in working with the dog. Like he always be a person who like kept his watch and tell me that he has to go to check on Norman. He is hardworking and often tasked without being asked. He is quiet, but always a person make everyone happy. The rest of team paper up here to graduate to him, and he is team player. And also your right side is Mr. Maikam. Maikam is the youngest handler in my team. Maikam is from small and rural village. He graduated just only high school, but he working very great in the forest. He's a very cheerful and energetic, but especially he care deeply for outside dog. Always request us to stop if he found any sign that his dog is tired or need a break or need a water. This is the photo of two handlers that they are Bertie's handler. At your left side is Buntavi. Buntavi is graduate from High Diploma of Animal Science in Bolikamsai province. So he knows just a little bit about animal welfare. However, Buntavi really loves animal that he can interpret when his dog need to rest or need to have a water break. Buntavi is a fast learner, which will always make you feel comfortable to teach him a new skill and knowledge. And the last person is To. To is a person who has bring a veterinary experience to the team. He is very quiet, but he just works so well with Bertie, one of our dogs. The well-being of Canine are his priority. He's always concerned and help connect our team together through discussion and suggestion. I have a just short fun story about Bertie. Bertie managed to eat too much fruit at the office because fruit trees are common in Laos. Bertie didn't feel well, so though he managed to clean on the fallen fruits in the garden to make sure Bertie will not eat them anymore. This is our priority because we put dog welfare in the top. You know, last year from May to October, Hello have 4 training. November to December, our dog were sick, but they still keep maintain the training a little bit, but not too heavy, because they have to recover the dog's health better condition as soon as possible. Our team put the dog welfare on the top, as I mentioned before, because dog can only performance well if they are in a good condition. Our dogs are working great, but they are still in the adaptation stage. With the working condition here, this is what incurred us a lot of cost of money, because you know our 2 dogs get sick, and I can tell you that 2 dogs were sick, very, very sick. And when our dog were sick, we discard and make a discussion to send them to the international vet clinic in Vientiane or Thailand to get an X-ray examination and blood test. And last year, Bertie, he has a problem on respiratory infection. His fecal has many eggs in parasites. He had blood disease, but finally we give him a deworming. The vet treat him by the medical treatment. Norman, his back left leg was limping because of he got a tendon inflammatory, and the vet also give him the medical treatment, and he got a long physical therapy. But don't worry, now the dogs are in good condition, fit, and they are ready to get back in the forest next month. The most important thing is we are impressed with how the dog performance, which make us believe in their ability helping us to find Saola. Do you know, in last year, September to October, during our work in the deep forest with our two dogs, they show us of their ability by finding a lot of scat such as muntjac, sorrel, white pig. But the special one was very small white pig scat we call dung beetle, was in the very small hole and covered by the leaves. That's what very difficult for people to find it. You know, that moment made us surprised and had so much confidence in our dog and our job. The scent detection dog component are developed method to find the first Saola. Is supervised by Rob Timin, our technical director, with a technical support from dog expert for working dog for conservation. As I mentioned, Bertie and Norman is ready to be in the forest by the end of this month to find the first Saola dung. Rob and Renee are joining us as well. I am very so excited to meet them again and work with them. The dog training are ongoing until the next few years. Dog expert Amy, Paul, Renee are coming to support our scent detection dog team every 3 months. So we organize like search schedule of dog team is developing 19 days in the forest to search for Saola dung and 13 days rest in the base office in Vientiane. The team keep doing this. The scent detection dog team can be used for finding another endangered species, not only Saola, for the next 7 years. This is the picture that we worked together in the forest last year. With all of the experience I have been through and told about, I believe our team is not only the first detection dog team for conservation in Laos, but also a very efficient team to support bigger goal in conservation. Finding Saola is the highest priority. Protecting the biodiversity of Annamite. If we can protect Saola, we can protect the Annamite wildlife too. With this briefly, I really hope I can see Saola for the real one day, and many other endemic wildlife of the Annamite living in harmonized world with humans. So let's save the first Saola with
Can I check if Vatsana is frozen for
Yeah.
everybody? Okay, well
Yeah,
that was
She's
remarkable
as
timing.
well.
So let's give her a moment to come back, but she was just wrapping up. Here we go. That's you cut off just I think on your final sentence. So thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
So we haven't got any questions yet in the chat. I would love to hear what people are thinking, feedback, questions, comments. In the meantime, while you're thinking of that, especially for the new people that are with us today, I wanted to just quickly show you. Oh, I have to. Vatsana, can you hand the host back to me again? You have to sort of hover over my name and assign me as the host.
Sorry, Lauren, I cannot hear you well. Again, please.
Can you make me the host of the meeting? So you would, I think let's see, you just hover over my name in the participants panel and I think assign me as the host so that I can also, I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah.
It's the same, it's the same button you use to change your name on the panel. But anyway, I see, well, you figure that out. I see a question from Mark Newman. So Mark Newman's question, where are you searching? Are you mainly in the Khai Nam Ton? I've asked Vatsana a question while also asking her to change her settings.
Yeah, Lauren, now I am sharing you in the host already.
Thank you. Okay, so I have a question. We have a question for you from Mark Newman. He'd like to know where is the team searching at the moment for Saola? Where are the dogs working?
Oh, thank you for your question. And at the moment now, we don't go to church yet because, as I mentioned before, our two dogs they were sick since November last year, and we have to take care of them. And now they are in better condition, and we just keep them at the base office in Vientiane and maintain the training that Paul gave to us, and we are ready to go to the forest for the church on beginning of March. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll add a little bit of detail to that. So it's Boli Kamsai province, Mark. Yeah. So and while the dogs have been getting acclimatized, they have been in some very easy sites in Boli Kamsai province, and easy generally means less wildlife, unfortunately. So given as the team under the guidance of Working Dogs for Conservation are trained to overreact to any potential illnesses and injuries, so we've been really applying the biggest degree of caution whenever the dogs have displayed any signs of struggling. So as Vatsana says, they'll be back out into some really prime Saola habitats in March. It's very exciting. So we have another question. Here we are. So from Joel, this is from Joel Berger. Hi, Joel. How many miles a day do the dogs cover? Oh, so let's go with kilometers. How many kilometers a day, roughly, Vatsana, do you think the dogs would walk on an average day?
The first and second search last year, we have a short time first because we don't want to make a very hard work for the dog, and we use the dog for search just only half day. We start from 8 a.m. to sometime 2 or 3 p.m. It's quite, I think it's, I don't know that about maybe Rob, you can help me to answer this question because I know just only the kilometer, but yeah.
So do we.
I mean, it varies as Vatsana says, but around
around 4 or 5 kilometers. I mean, it's hard to know because the dogs, the dogs are going back and forth. So the dogs are actually probably doing 2 or 3 times or even 4 times more distance than the actual human handlers doing.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks, you guys. I'll let you go to more questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe. So another question for you, Vatsana, from apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name, Fahim. How are the dogs coping with the climate in the forest? That's an important question.
So can you explain the meaning for me, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. So, with the temperature and the weather, the rain, the climate of the Annamite Mountains.
Yeah, the climate of Annamite Mountain is very humid, not hot. Some day it's rain, and the dog love that climate, and they work very well. Even sometimes we work with the heavy rain, and no problem for all of us.
And they got a head start because they were trained in Texas. It must have been very hot.
Yeah, firstly, I have a question. Should we stop when the rain come? Because I have no experience, But Renee and Paul, Amy said no. The dog can work with the rain. They like because it make them not too hot, and it's good for their health.
Great, thank you. So, question from Victoria. So what kinds of difficulties do you have in scent work? For example, do the dogs, I'm going to paraphrase a bit here, do they get confused between similar species when they're searching in the forest?
The difficult thing for me and really challenge, like as you know that this is the first time that I work with detection dog, and sometimes maybe about the communication language that we get from this dog specialist, and sometimes when we see the dog search and change behavior, and when they found the scat, as I mentioned before, some of dog don't sit like a normal, don't sit, it make us confused, and just think, oh, we give a wrong comment or not, or just something happened,
Thank you. So how long, so it's another question from Fahim, how long have the dogs been how long have they been doing field work, and how many finds have they made? So I think that means how many, if you could estimate how many dung samples they have found.
Yeah, so last year we have two times search, and they very surprised us because when they were working in the forest, they found the scat of Monjack, Sirao, White Peak, and we have just a short time. So each of them maybe not less than 4 or 5 scat, sample, I mean.
Yeah, and repeating myself here, they've been largely in a training and acclimatization phase, so we do expect that number to be significantly higher quite soon.
Yep.
A question from Tracy Tarbett. What do you use for scent to train the dogs to search for Saola? Now the hidden part of that question is we don't have Saola dung, so how did we train the dogs?
As I learned from dog specialists, our dog is very credible, intelligent, and they can smell any kind of scat. And before we go to the forest, we train them to smell scat of Monjack, Sorrel, White Pig, that our technical team, they found, and they put them in the bottle and give the sample to us and find this. And I'm sure that our detection dog can find Saola, because if they found scat, we collect the scat, and we, as you know before, that we have a DNA machine, right? We have to detect that scat to make sure that that is Saola dung.
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting part of this whole story. Rob, do you have anything to add in terms of the training process and how that will evolve?
Yeah, sorry. So the dogs are basically trained as generalist dogs, which is really unusual for scent detection dogs. And actually, for working dogs for conservation, this is the first time they've ever trained generalist dogs. So normally dogs are trained on a very specific scent, but we don't have Saola, so we're trying to train them to find all scats, and they're doing a fantastic job of that.
And then, and as Vatsana mentioned, we have this unbelievable futuristic DNA test kit. It's sort of a jungle laboratory in a little box. So when the dogs can be used to rapidly find dung samples in key Saola habitat, and then we can test those samples and get a result very quickly with the DNA device. So at some point we're very certain if there are Saola out there, our dogs will help us to find the dung, and the DNA device will help us identify it. So we have another question from, I think we'll maybe do another 5 minutes of questions, and then I'll hand over to Bill to wrap up. Omar, how does wind distract the dogs from smelling the scent? So Vatsana, does the wind interrupt the dogs being able to smell scent?
Yeah, sure. The wind can interrupt the dog scent, you know, and the strong of the scent of scat is depend on the condition, you know, in the forest. For example, if the dog are finding the scat in the density forest, it's a little bit hard than the open area. And when that area have a wind comes, the dog can get a scent of the smell very fast. Yeah, and sometimes wind can interrupt the sense of dung also.
Yeah, I imagine the relationship between the dogs and the dog handlers is so important to be able to identify when there might be problems.
Yep.
So another question from Mark. How do you know what species the dogs have found? Do you recognize the droppings in the field when the dogs find them? How do you identify the species?
The species of the dung that the dog found, you mean?
That's right.
So in my experience, I don't know at that time, but every time we have working with the dog in the forest, we have support by technical assistant. They have a good experience, and they know that this dung is the dung of zero, this dung of surround. Yeah, that I can explain to you firstly.
Yeah, and I'll before I hand over to Bill, I'm going to show everybody a photo of the full team, because actually the dog team are just one component of our team, and that'll help answer that question a bit more. Karina, hi, lovely to have you here, Karina. Are the dogs walking or running free on a leash while they're working in the forest? Sorry, are they running free or are they on a leash?
Leash, you mean the small animal that bite the dog leash?
So no, I chose my words poorly. On a lead, like a
lead.
you know, like a yeah.
The tie that we hold the dog, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we work with the dog in the forest, we let them without lead. Yeah. But when we walk them into the forest, we have to walk them on lead. Yeah. But when they work, no lead.
Yeah.
And we get a new experience that individual by Amy and Renee for Working Dog for Conservation, that we put a small bell on their harness when they run somewhere that the handlers can hear where that sound are, you know. So we know that, oh, it's our dog is running over there. But however, as I mentioned above, that we put their welfare on the top and their safety. We don't let the dog run away or far away from us too much. We have to look after them close to us as much as possible.
Yeah, and one of the reasons that the breed of dog were chosen was because Working Dogs for Conservation came, Amy and Paul, they witnessed for themselves the conditions in the Annamite Mountains, and they realized that walking a dog on a lead was just not possible in those conditions, because they're so thick with vegetation, and the breed of dog, the Spaniels, they just naturally stay close, and they naturally transect, zigzag. So yeah, they're, just to give a bit more to that. I'm going to pass this next question to Rob. So Rob, a question from Charles is there a limit to the DNA detection tool in terms of the number of tests?
There's no limit to the number of tests. It's all kind of based on consumables. We can essentially test essentially three samples per per run of the machine. Although we've actually been experimenting a little bit with that, and depending on the condition of the dung, if everything's perfect, by combining samples, we can potentially get 15 samples run in one go. And the whole process with, there's various preparation stages and things. So all told, once the dog's back at camp, it takes around about 2 hours to get a result.
Rob, let me ask sort of a follow-up question. How much does each test cost? I mean, there's a limit, there's a financial limit. Each test that we do for DNA in the field, what's the cost now for each sample tested?
I'm not sure actually. That's a hard one.
Can I jump in? Is that
Go
okay?
ahead, Lauren. Yeah.
It is a tough one. The reason it's a tough one is because we have to buy a minimum order of the consumables that Rob's talking about, and the minimum order is huge. It's post-COVID, the company that make the consumables now actually have huge contracts from the government to supply for, I think, COVID tests and other things, and they've increased their minimum order, so we have to buy 700 strips at once. So the strips individually that do the tests probably boil down to, I don't know, $10-20 at most. I might be misspeaking there, but it's the minimum threshold we have to purchase.
What's the cost of the 700 strips now?
$25,000.
Okay, so
$25,000 minimum order. So that
25,000.
Yeah,
Right.
that was tough. But that would last for 2 years. So yeah, it gives you an idea. So, right, one more question. I'm going to cherry pick, and then if there's anything left that's left over, we'll save the chat and we'll get back to you guys on email. So don't feel like your questions are being ignored. Now, let's have a look. So I'm going to end with a question from Linda. When Saola dung is found, will it be possible to train the dogs to only search for one species rather than continuing to look for multiple animals? Vatsana, would you like to answer this? Or you can pass over to Rob if you like.
I think maybe Rob can answer this question better than me. But my aspect, yes, I can say that, yes, sure, if we can find Saola dung, we can focus all the searching for Saola dung,
Yep.
Yeah, maybe Rob can answer better than me.
Sure, yeah. So it's the dogs have been trained very generally. So it's a transition period, but the dogs learn pretty fast. So it's a question of them. And it's all about the handler-dog interaction as well. So if we have Saola dung, we can very quickly get the dogs to figure out that it's really Saola dung and not everything else that we want them to find. So So yeah, a little bit of a transition, but we don't see it being sort of an issue and them, just wanting to always find mudjacks and other things.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Okay, so we're going to wrap up. I'm going to hand over to Bill. Just quickly before I do, I would like to just show everybody the big, like a little zoom out. So this is the entire field team. They are Annamite Mountains Research and Conservation Team, of which our detection dog unit is one component. A second component that speaks to one of the questions in terms of identifying species is a wildlife tracking component. So we have dogs and canines working side by side, feeding off of each other in order to track and trail and identify animals. We have an entire logistics arm that sets us apart from any other field team that I know of in Laos. So this is and then a unit of the highly skilled field technicians. So as Bill began with, this really is an extraordinary team, and they're only getting better and better. So and again, just to encourage anybody who's new, please do explore our website, sign up to the newsletter. I'm going to hand back to Bill to wrap up.
Thanks, Florian, and thanks, Vatsana. That was fantastic. I've known you a while, and even I was inspired by your talk, and I know all this already. It was fantastic. So Corey is going to put a link in the chat to the donation page on our website. And I urge you to maybe take advantage of that. As I said, according to somebody who knows the region very well, we have the best team that's ever been assembled for wildlife conservation in Southeast Asia. And as you can, I think you get a sense of the quality of that team through Vatsana. And as well, this team is being directed to one of the most important wildlife conservation projects in the world, finding these Saolas in the Annamite Mountains. Bringing those two together is an incredible bit of synergy to do good, but we can't do it alone. If you would be willing to help us and help support and help to keep Vatsana and Bertie and Norman in the forest doing this important work, we need your help, and we'd be very grateful for it. And again, join us at this time on March 23rd for Dr. Akchuksan Raspon talking about her work on clouded leopards in Laos. That is also going to, I've known Akchu for a long time, and I can guarantee you it's going to be a fantastic talk. Thank you all for joining. It was great to have you all and see so many familiar faces and a lot of new faces. This is very encouraging. Thank you all.
Thank you.